There is some hope for de-escalation in the ongoing conflict between Iran and Israel. Both countries are playing down an apparent Israeli airstrike near a major military airbase and nuclear site in central Iran yesterday, indicating the two sides could be showing restraint in what some feared could trigger a larger war in the Middle East. Over the past several weeks, an alleged Israeli strike killed nearly a dozen people, including two generals, at an Iranian consulate in Syria. Now, that was followed by an unprecedented Iranian missile barrage on Israel involving hundreds of drones last weekend. And for more on the tensions overseas, we are joined live now by Ignazio, national security expert and retired Air Force Special Operations Commander. Thank you for your time this afternoon. And so I want to get your thoughts on, as far as this idea of a potential de-escalation and what we're seeing so far between Israel and Iran.
Yeah, I definitely feel that this is a de-escalation. The idea of what Israel had to do and to strike Iran was to be able to push back and say, hey, we can reach out and touch you, but do something that wasn't going to inflame all the other countries. Because if you think about it, Saudi Arabia has been attacked by Iran, and between Jordan, Saudi, and everything, really Israel's the only one that keeps Iran in check. So this was a very small but retaliatory strike. They took out many of their artillery and, their anti-aircraft artillery, and jammed some of their radar sites to show that they could actually penetrate and get in further. So I think that's really what the approach was on this strike.
And do you feel that because we're sort of days now since that happened, that's really a good sign?
Yeah, in all honesty, it is. It's hard to say that any kind of conflict is good. But the point about this is that Iran has said, hey, we are not going to return that strike. And you have to think of this as that Iran launched both cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, plus drones, and everything was pretty much shot down. So that was one as far as defending. But again, in the offensive side, Israel showed Iran, hey, we can reach out and touch you. So not only can we defend ourselves, but we can also reach out offensively and strike you harder, so back off. And I believe that was the best approach to do this, yet again, not cause a full-scale war.
And Glenn, when we take a look at what's transpiring in Rafah now, the latest going on there, what do you make of that as that portion of this, of course, tension in the Middle East continues?
Yeah, Rafah was, there was a pause, a significant pause for this particular time frame because of what happened with Iran. I mean, Israel is fighting both Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, and Iran, so it's more or less like a forefront. But Rafah was always the last engagement, saying that there's about 4,000 Hamas terrorists still in that enclave, and that Israel was going to prosecute to have to root that out. So we know that that is going to happen. It was just paused because I believe the Iran strike was definitely, I wouldn't say a distraction, but definitely deviated their timeline as far as getting into Rafah for the forces they had.
And because of, as you noted, the situation, how it stands right now when it comes to, in regards to Iran, do you feel that there could potentially be more attention put back into ceasefire talks?
It would be great. I mean, it's really one of these things with the tenets of, Hamas wants a full permanent stop. Israel wants the hostages released. And so they've really been standing on these two sides where they haven't really made any progress. So there really hasn't been much movement on those discussions. But really, if the hostages are released, that would really put Israel on a backstage to say, hey, we can stop our prosecution of Gaza. Same thing if they take Rafah, go through that area, they have basically concluded the Gaza operation, and international pressure would increase to say, hey, Israel, you're done. That's what I would see unfolding in the future if this is finished that way.
And where do you see sort of international leaders and their take on trying to get those ceasefire conversations moving forward? How do you see that making that large of an impact?
Yeah, it's been very, very forthright as far as the United States, Egypt, and others, including the Qataris, to try to push and get that ceasefire. But like I said, it's really interesting is there's been sort of a whole pause, or everything's sort of pushed on the back burner here since the attack of Iran. So those hostage negotiations really haven't been as strong as they have before. So it still needs to continue, but really there has to be an end game here in Gaza. And I believe that Israel is going to prosecute Rafah. And when they're complete with that, they are completed their mission, at least in the international eyes, that everybody is applying pressure to Netanyahu to do. So hopefully that stops soon.
Okay, we'll have to leave it there. Glenn Ignazio, national security expert and retired Air Force Special Operations Commander. Thanks for your time as always.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
You too.